Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel. This is Alessandra
and this is Giulia
from Color Analysis Studio, and today we are here to talk about hair color and how to choose your best hair color.
We received so many questions about hair color here on YouTube but also on Instagram, so we thought we'd produce an entire video dedicated to this topic.
Absolutely, but before we start, please remember to subscribe to this channel. It's very important for us that you do so, and also please consider to follow us on Instagram. We will leave all the link below. And as usual, if you're interested in a color analysis session here in Melbourne, Australia or online, feel free to visit our website coloranalysis.eu. And now we're ready to start.
Before we start talking about hair color, please let us thank today's video sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online platform dedicated to people who are curious, creative, and eager to learn new skills and to use them in an impactful way. We thought we'd accept this collaboration proposal because you guys are curious and creative people yourselves, so we really thought this would be very interesting for you to know.
Consider that Skillshare has 1,000 of online classes available to everyone from all around the world and from the comfort of your home.
Skillshare has a wide depth and breadth of topics, so from illustration, graphic design, art, photography, music, productivity, marketing, and many more.
It's an on-demand platform that has stackable lessons, so you can learn at your own pace, no matter the skill level.
And today we have a special offer for you guys. The first 500 people to use our code will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare, so you can start experimenting with their classes.
Are you already thinking about a class?
Absolutely, I already found mine. It's called Color Grading for Filmmaking, the Vision, Art and Science. It's a topic that really resonates with me because, as you probably know, guys, I'm very passionate about video production and of course about color, so this is very perfect for me and I can't wait to start. What about you, Ale? Have you found anything?
I found one that I fell in love with, and it's called Branding Uncover. Color palettes, the power of the perfect palette. I think is very fascinating. How can we apply the color theory and color psychology to the developing of our brand? And since I'm working with colors and Julia and myself are building our own brand, I think it will be very nice to see how the perfect color palette make a huge impact on the communication of our brand.
Absolutely. I really believe that these classes will be beneficial to both of us, both from an individual point of view, you know, because we have our own interests, but also as a business, we would really benefit from these classes. So guys, as you can see, you can really find the perfect topics for you. On Skillshare, you will find classes about what you love. So feel free, make the most of this offer, and remember that you can find the link in the description below. Thank you so much, Skillshare, for sponsoring today's video. And now, Ale, we are ready to start talking about hair color.
Let's start.
Guys, we've been working on this video for weeks and have all of our notes here so we don't forget anything.
Okay guys, I think that the most important part in this video is the fact that hair color doesn't determine your season.
Yes,
I think that's the most important part. So your season is determined by your skin. Skin always commands. During the first step of the analysis, in particular, we cover the hair of a client because the hair doesn't play any role, especially in the undertone. It can play a role in the intensity phase, but is definitely not fundamental to discover your season.
Exactly. Imagine that, first of all, having hair is not a requirement, right? Even if you don't have hair, you can be analyzed and you will fall in one of the 4 seasons.
With this video and doing the analysis, we want to give you advice on your best color based on what is already in there.
Exactly, which comes from the undertone and the intensity of the skin. It's true that hair plays a role in your chromatic appearance, but as Alessandra was saying, it's, you know, to emphasize and enrich this frame that you have around your face.
Very good,
right?
Very good.
So remember, your season is not determined by your hair color. If you change your hair color, your season doesn't change. It's not like if you're autumn and dye your hair cool blonde, you become summer. You're still an autumn with hair that is not in palette.
Absolutely.
Once you know your palette, choosing your best hair color is not a problem anymore. And actually it becomes very easy and a lot of fun.
And you know, nature gives us the perfect harmony around our colors. So sometimes doing nothing to our hair color is the best thing we can do.
Absolutely. This, however, doesn't mean that we shouldn't dye our hair anymore, especially if it's something that we like doing. This doesn't mean that we can't even improve the color that nature gave us, and it doesn't mean that we shouldn't use fun, exciting or unusual colors for our hair. So for example, if you want to dye your hair pink, you can recognize which pink is the perfect one for you.
Remember that we work by matching, so cool people will look very good with the cool hair color, while warm people will look very good with warm hair color.
Exactly. So if we have a look at the color analysis wheel with the 4 seasons, we have in the left side winter and summer, cool undertone, therefore cool ashy tones. On the right we have spring and autumn, warm seasons, therefore these people work best with colors that are golden with warm red tones to their hair.
Then if we have a look at the intensity, it will happen exactly the same. So winter and springs work very well with high intensity color, while summer and autumn that have a low level of intensity work very well with the low intensity colors.
Exactly, nice and easy. We need to match our characteristics. And also, guys, we're going to talk about gray hair in this video, and we really want to say something about this topic. We want to promote and embrace and celebrate the beauty of gray hair, especially for women, because you know, society tells us that we always, especially women, that we always have to be young and beautiful. For some reason, have you noticed that if a man goes gray, they become charming, yes, elegant, fascinating. And then if a woman goes gray, oh my god, something to get rid of, something to hide, something to change. Absolutely, we don't want to promote this idea. We actually want to fight against this with all of our strength. But we can also, when it comes to gray hair, choose our perfect gray, right? Depending on our palette. But the message is, embrace your gray hair. It's natural. It means that you're growing up or getting older, which is a privilege.
Absolutely. Now, we're gonna divide the video in 4 chapters, so we will talk about specific advice on each season, okay? But I will really recommend to follow and watch the video entirely, because you will find a very useful advice, or maybe things that you shouldn't do in a chapter that maybe is not related to your actual season, right?
Exactly. You can learn even from the seasons that are not yours. And now, Ale, we can start talking about each season. So we will start with winter, then summer, then autumn, and finally spring. Ready?
Ready. Okay, Giulia, let's talk about winter.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Winter palette, your palette. So maybe I will ask you a question.
Yes.
If there's something that winters should avoid.
Okay.
If you have to choose one, maximum 2 things, which is the things that you say winters don't do that?
Okay, 2 things, I like it. First one, don't dye your hair blonde unless you're winter and you're naturally blonde, which is very rare. Chances are that your hair are naturally dark. Don't change it into a blonde light color, because you would lose contrast and you would lose that depth that is one of the 3 main characteristics of the winter palette. Number 1, don't go blonde. Number 2, don't add any warmth into your hair. Don't go copper, honey, caramel, all of these warm tones don't really suit people like winters who have a cool undertone. So a person who has a cool undertone works very well if surrounded by colors that are cool.
Yes.
So I wouldn't recommend adding any warmth to the hair. I remember,
don't follow the trend, guys.
Yes,
don't
yes.
follow the trend.
I remember that probably a couple years ago there was this huge trend about copper hair.
I remember.
And a lot of celebrities, many of which were winters, started to dye their hair copper. And of course, as usual, they're all beautiful, nothing to say about them, but you can really tell that this color is not harmonious. You can tell the difference if you compare, the same person with copper hair or, with their natural hair color. There's no comparison really. So definitely don't let your hairdresser trick you with this, we should warm it up a bit.
That's something that usually happen. Hairdresser like to warm
things up.
Yes. Add a little bit of gold and a little bit of warmth.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. It's easier.
It's easier. Yes.
We have a lot of clients that think that they are warm because they see that warm in the brown hair.
Yes.
Can you explain that concept, because I think this is very interesting?
With pleasure. So first of all, consider that in any hair color there's always a bit of warmth, a little amount of warmth. Even if you are cool, even if you're part of a cool subgroup of a cool season, your hair has naturally a warm component to it.
And that's also why hairdressers find it easier to warm people up, because all the dye are made with red pigment or warm pigment.
Yes,
most
exactly.
of them.
Exactly. So when your hair turns a bit red, or you can see some red or warm reflections, especially in certain environments or in certain lights, it doesn't mean that your undertone is warm. This is very important. It can be warm or it can be cool. The fact that your hair, when I go out in this light, look at this picture, look at my picture, look at this picture, for example. You see how my hair looks a bit reddish in this light, in this environment. But, it doesn't mean that my undertone is warm, definitely.
Okay, so what happens when a winter goes gray?
That's quite easy. When a winter goes gray, the gray is, a very flattering color next to winters. It's like having a silver drape around your face at all times, and we know that winters work very well with silver. So if your hair goes gray, it's actually very flattering. So we would encourage you to keep your hair gray as it is. And you can even make your gray cooler, so increase the coolness of the gray that usually for winters is naturally cool already. Yeah. So you can make something cool even cooler. This is what we mean when we say you can improve, you can even, enrich what nature naturally gives to you. And also, if you are one of those rare blonde winters, chances are that you will stay blonde. Or if you go gray, it will be a very, very light, almost white gray that would work very, very well on you. So also, if you are winter and your hair is starting to go gray, and you're not ready yet to embrace your gray hair, you can of course dye it using the same guidelines, ashy tones. So if you want to dye your hair brown, ash brown. Or if you notice that you're going very light overall, right? You can now consider to dye your hair blonde and make sure, once again, that it's an ash blonde, a cool blonde.
Giulia, winter is deep, cool and quite intense. Having gray hairs will mean that we will lose the depth and we will lose the intensity in this subject, or?
Very good question. So gray hair can be darker or lighter, right? Some people have a very light, almost white gray. Other people have the salt and pepper effect that keeps part of the depth of the season of winter. So yes, colors can change, definitely. We can lose that percentage of depth, not to mention the intensity, because gray is a soft color, right? So we can even have this very, white, almost platinum gray hair, but we can also have, once again, this salt and pepper effect that is usually a bit softer, ashy. That's right. So yes, the intensity can change. We've seen many, people going from winter bright to winter cool, or from winter cool to summer cool, but we also saw many people that were winter cool and stayed winter cool,
stay through winter, stay winter bright, and even winter deep. So even if they have a lighter hair, doesn't mean that they lose completely the depth.
Absolutely.
Guys, the best way, see your color analyst again when your colors are changing. That's I think is really, really important.
Exactly. If for any reason your colors start to change, gray hair is a perfect example. We really advise to contact your color analyst again so they can give you the perfect advice for your specific case, because of course this video is a general guide, but the reality is that every person is unique, and every person, when it comes to gray hair, ages in a different way. So after talking about the winter palette, let's move to the summer palette. Ale, is it true that summers are always blonde?
Absolutely no, it's not true. Summers are not just blonde. We can have even darker brown, brunette summers.
Exactly.
Like winters, we have an abundance of cool colors in the natural complexion, but also a low level of intensity. So often the hair look a little bit dustier.
Yes, more delicate.
More delicate.
And also these delicate and dusty colors, once again, are not just blonde.
Absolutely. So we can have even an ashy brown. If you're a summer and your hair is brown and dark brown, leave it as it is, because it gives contrast and give maybe even a touch more of intensity. So it's very indicated, for example, for summer cool.
That's right. Exactly,
that are more borderline with winter.
Yes.
On the other hand, I will definitely not recommend it to summers that have a light hair color, even blonde, to go dark.
No, that's right.
So never darken up your hair.
That's right.
On the other hand, I will suggest maybe to summer that have a light brown hair to light up the hair. So they are the typical summer that works very well with highlighting.
Yes. Highlights that work very well on summers can usually have a bit of an aging effect on winters, on the other hand.
Yes, on summers looks very harmonious and goes very well with all the colors from the summer palette. So it emphasizes the lightness of natural lightness of the summer.
So would you say, Ale, that if a summer has naturally dark hair, they should leave it as it is?
Yes.
If it's just medium, not too dark, not too light, they can go
lighter, not darker. Okay, if a person is already blonde naturally, I will definitely suggest to not touch anything.
To stay blonde, basically.
Blonde.
If you're summer and you're blonde, stay blonde.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Very, very interesting. But about being blonde, if you're blonde and you're a summer, you can even accentuate this blondness, right? This fairness. So you can dye your hair even lighter and even blonder.
Absolutely. In this case, we needed to be very careful, because as we say before, all the dye, all the natural hair color contains a yellow warm pigment. So dye tend to oxidate very easily. So if you're planning to to dye your hair and you are cool, you need to be very careful because especially blonde can turn easily yellow.
That's right. The difference between having blonde hair and yellow hair
is completely different. Like, it's completely different. So absolutely, we need to be very careful. So in this sense, cool people are a little bit unlucky because of that, because the maintenance of the dye is definitely more difficult for the oxidation process of the dye.
Yeah, and the oxidation can, it's a natural, of course, process, but it can be even quicker. So the color can oxidize very quickly, depending on the environment, pollution, washes, sun exposure. That's right, and many other factors. So it's a bit harder to maintain if you have a cool undertone. And what would you suggest they could do? So if a summer that is blonde, they have dyed their hair a bit blonder and it's starting to go yellow. What can they do?
Purple shampoo, guys, or purple product in general to maintain the coolness and remove the yellow from the hair. Purple shampoo works very well in this sense because it's a complementary color of yellow. So if we have a look at the wheel, see that they are on the opposite side of the wheel. So this means that they are complementary color and they fight against each other. So if you apply purple shampoo, you contrast the yellow coming. And of course, you talk to your hairdresser. Of course, we are not hairdresser in this sense.
Yes, absolutely.
So your hairdresser will give you the best advice to maintain and to keep the color that you want.
Exactly, which is a cool color for summers. Talking about embracing your natural colors, let's talk about gray hair on summers. What happens?
Perfect. Summers are absolutely great with gray hair because gray is a light color and is a soft color, so fit perfectly summers. Of course, we can improve the coolness of the gray because even gray can be warm and cool. Usually summers have gray down pretty cool, but yes, so summers gray is an excellent option for you if you want to embrace it.
And now it's time to switch to the warm seasons, warm undertone, and let's start with your palette, autumn. So is it true that autumns only have dark hair?
No, absolutely it's not true. We can have also blonde autumn. Okay, so in this case I really recommend to blonde autumns to stay blonde and focusing on improving your warmth. Okay, so adding caramel and golden highlights is very flattering for autumns.
Yes, absolutely. And what is something that you would say autumns should avoid completely?
Avoid cool blonde. That's, I think, is the most terrible things that an autumn can do. It really make all the complex gray, because here we are focusing on the warmth of the complex, and having ashy and cool hair color, especially blonde, make look everything completely gray down everything. So focusing on the warmth of your color and add that warm component in your hair color.
Yes. So you would say if an autumn is blonde, they can stay blonde and improving the warmth. And what about if their hair is naturally dark?
If the natural is naturally dark, I really recommend it to stay like that. Usually nature gives the perfect harmony. We already talked about this and I think is good. However, I think that autumn find very beneficial improving that neutral dark brown. This is what happened, for example, in my case. I have a pretty neutral dark brown hair. I think that I'm improving what nature gave me, because adding some caramel or golden highlights even in dark autumn, so deep autumn, or people with a very deep hair color, can really soft down the complex. And
That's
autumn
right.
is warm, but is also soft, so it make everything sweeter and smoother and more
delicate.
More delicate.
Yes, I totally agree. So if you're autumn and your hair is dark, keep it as it is.
Yeah.
Or you can even consider to use a few warm highlights.
Yeah, absolutely. Highlights, maybe downlight. Sometimes it works very
Interesting.
well to
Yes.
not, lose the depth. So of course we don't want to go against nature completely. We want just to push the enrich it a little bit.
Sure.
By adding warmth and by adding this very delicate final look.
And what about people who naturally have coppery, auburn, or reddish hair?
Keep it like that, please. They are so rare in the world that I will never change it.
Yes.
So never. If you have a copper hair, ginger hair, red hair, please don't
Keep
do
it.
that. Keep it.
Yes.
Keep it. Absolutely.
I totally agree. Alessandra, what happens when autumns go grey?
Well, in this sense, we are a little bit more, less lucky than winters and summer, because of course grey is a soft color, yes, but it's also cool. Generally speaking, of course, we can make grey from any color, so we can have even warm grays, but usually it's a color that suits very well cool season. So autumns in this sense are a little bit unlucky, but no worry about it, because we can still improve the grey by adding just a touch of warmth to it, so we can still embrace the grey. I think I will do it when I age and my hair goes completely grey. And we have a video of a warm autumn like me on our channel with the grey hair, and she gives very, very, very good advice on what she does to her hair. So it's amazing, and you can find the link here. Remember that if your hair is not in palette, you can still, accentuate your color palette by wearing clothes in your color palette, makeup in your color palette, accessories. So in this case, it will be very important for you to know your palette, so you are aware of this. And that's something that I really like to teach to my clients, or say to my clients, because we can be more flexible with things. I mean, it's not a bunch of rules that we have to mandatory follow and to stick there. It's not a cage, but color analysis session will give you the awareness of your color. So you know how to wear it, even the wrong color, because you know that is the wrong color. So you can, mix it with other colors and play around with color combination, and this is applied for gray hair and autumn.
That's right. So if your hair is gray and your autumn, you know that probably it's not exactly the perfect color that your hair can be. Oh well, if you don't want to dye it, it's totally fine. Rely on your clothes, rely on your accessories, your jewelry, your makeup, and make sure that these other elements of your outfits are in palette.
Absolutely. I think that the awareness make you gain this confidence, to do whatever you want.
Exactly.
That's why I like it. And now it's time to talk about spring palette. Giulia, high intensity season but warm.
Exactly. So spring people work very well with colors that are very, nice and strong, very intense, like winters, but they are the warm version, right? So we can find people who work very well with colors that have a warm undertone, so warm reddish, coppery, golden, caramel highlights work very well on springs, and also colors that are not dusty and muted, but actually quite clear, very bright.
Yes.
We also have a very big variety of colors that springs can naturally be.
Yeah, probably is the most various in terms of natural hair colors.
Yes, so we can have springs with extremely light blonde hair all the way to black hair, right?
Absolutely.
Going through medium light, medium dark, copper, ginger, so really any color. So it's very hard to, you know, recognize a spring based on the hair color. It's pretty much
impossible.
impossible because they can be, you know, any color. And remember, however, that the best way you can improve your color is to rely on colors that are warm and intense. Springs, if your natural hair is dark, keep it as it is. If it's medium dark or medium light, you can make it even a bit lighter, because overall springs work very well with light colors. If your hair is naturally copper, ginger, auburn, keep it as it is. And if your hair is blonde, remember that you can make it even blonder, right? Once again, accentuating the blondness and the lightness of your complexion.
So Giulia, we say that springs can even have black hair. Is that possible?
Yes.
And how does it work on a spring that, because black is a cool color, right?
Yes, exactly. So black is a cool color, but it's also a very intense color.
Extremely full.
Exactly. So it still brings us in the top part of the graph. And also remember that we analyze the undertone of the skin. So it's totally possible that your skin is warm in undertone and you have black hair. Black is very intense. If your skin is warm in undertone, you belong to spring or autumn. But if we find that the overall intensity is high, you belong to the spring palette, because if your undertone is warm and your intensity is high, you're spring. So this is why springs can also have black hair.
And they actually work very well with black.
Absolutely, love it.
They emphasize a lot of the contrast, especially.
It gives a lot of energy.
A lot of energy,
contrast.
absolutely. So that's the reason why it's very important to have an analysis with a professional, because you know, the only way to discover your best color is do a personal analysis where you can receive personal advice. Based on your colors.
Exactly, on your specific case. And also remember that if you're spring and you start to go gray, you can rely on the same advice that we gave for the autumn palette, right? So gray in this regard is a little bit better on springs because it's lighter, and usually springs work very well with light colors. Remember that if you want, you can improve your natural hair color, increasing the warmth of your gray, okay? But this also depends, to be fair, on the subgroup, right? Because, for example, a spring bright who is very close to winter bright would work very well with a gray that is very, you know, very strong, a very strong gray, even if it's not very warm. But, for example, if you're spring warm, you really want to add that warmth to your hair. If you're spring light, the most important thing is to keep the lightness and to have a very light hair color. So we are giving you guys this guide about the seasons, but even the subgroups are quite relevant. So this can be, you know, very tricky sometimes, but your color analyst will definitely be able to advise towards the right direction for you. Okay, so Giulia, we are at the end of this video. We hope that it was helpful for you guys to understand better your hair color. Yes, and also if you have any doubts, remember that you can reach out to your color analyst, or that you can even consider to have a full new color analysis session, because a color analysis session gives you the best advice regarding your clothes, accessories and makeup, but also about your hair color. Guys, thank you so much for watching today's video till the end. We really appreciate it. Please consider to subscribe to our channel. Your support means a lot to us. So if you like this video, if you like our videos in general, we would really appreciate if you could please hit the subscribe button. Especially if you want more videos. Exactly. Remember also to follow us on Instagram, and if you're interested in a color analysis session here in Melbourne, Australia, or online, feel free to visit our website, coloranalysis.au. We're going to see you guys very soon on this channel with more videos. Bye bye! Ciao!